What's up, my good people of the internet? Welcome back here to another week of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You could see I'm rocking the D-backs here. I don't think I've ever truly worn this. I've been waiting for a special moment to wear this D-backs polo, and if you look very closely to it, it might be on the back. There's kind of like, looks like scales, but it's a very exciting day for me as a Diamondbacks fan to be living in the world of the playoffs. I was talking about it all throughout the season that they could do this. They could get here. They came out leading. They came out first in the NL West. They were above the Dodgers for a bit. And the concern is that the Diamondbacks play half a season. And with that, they'll come out striking and then they'll falter, or maybe they don't start off as hot and then they find a way, but it's never enough to get to the playoffs in a lot of their seasons. But this time around, they figured it out. They were able to navigate through an entire season, get themselves into the postseason by beating the teams they needed to beat when they needed to beat them, and down the stretch to be where they are today, which is in the postseason for the first time in 6 years. So I'm proudly wearing my D-backs gear, but those that know me know that I'm loving up on those D-backs 25/7. So with that being said, inside of monpazpopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Murph and I always starting off your week here on Wake Up Call, and Brendan Murphy and I will be discussing a bunch of different things, including the Major League Baseball Playoff Field. I'm going to let him jump into a sports card thing right away because he's going to do a wardrobe change. So take that, Taylor Swift, and see if you can change as quickly as Murph can. So we will get into the sports card that's connected to what you're about to see him wearing. Then we'll jump into baseball. We'll speak on the playoff field now that it's set. We'll get into our biggest surprises as well as those that did not surprise us and are where we thought they would be in Major League Baseball's postseason. Then we'll jump into his Jets, who had a mighty game against the Kansas City Chiefs in Sunday Night Football. I was anticipating Kansas City putting up 40 points. That did not happen. What you've learned yesterday that you should have learned above everything else, bare minimum, the Jets probably have the best defense in the country. Then we'll get into my Jaguars and what they did with a connection to Toy Story yesterday morning as they had a victory on Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. They had a victory as Toys in Andy's Room and in real life over the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll finish up with some more sports card stuff. And then at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time every Monday, we jump into Saxon Time, and we are at the start of the month, which means the presidential perspective. We'll start off our month with the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, who joins me to speak on Alumni Stewardship, which is that constant connecting with your alumni and continuing to show them how much they matter to you beyond their graduation from Alfred University, and the interesting connection that will bring it all back together as Mark and I speak on his time spent around the Arizona Diamondbacks in their World Series year, as well as this season. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. Bonding Alfred University to my Diamondbacks. Nothing wrong with that. So with that being said, let's bring Murph in. Murph, how we doing?
We're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. So the elephant in the room, the jersey.
Yes.
It's actually, and I wasn't exactly clear about this, so let me clear this up for us for a second. The reason I'm wearing the jersey is to call out Desmond Ritter and the Atlanta Falcons for not throwing the ball to Kyle Pitts ever. Can we get this man involved?
2 catches.
For God's sake. Literally. This dude is, I would say, the best college football player not named Tim Tebow to ever go to the University of Florida. And that includes Emmitt Smith. And that includes a lot of other names on that list. But Kyle Pitts has more talent than any tight end in football outside of maybe Travis Kelce. What are we doing? Why are we not using him? Why is he blocking? Yeah. He was an elite receiving tight end in college. The Gators literally had him as their first option. Treat him like that or trade him. Please. That's all I'm going to say. And now I'm going to take the jersey off.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts, seeing him and I got the game story up. You can all go and read the game story about the Jacksonville Jaguars win over the Atlanta Falcons. Pardon me. 23-7 overseas in their first of two London games. They will face off against the Buffalo Bills coming up this week in London town. So, yeah, I mean,
By the way, though,
go ahead.
Falcons, sweet jerseys.
Yeah, no,
these jerseys are pretty sweet. This is the one with like the red that blends down into black with the dots and everything.
Yeah,
the jersey's sweet. I'll give them that.
The Falcons do have nice jerseys. The Falcons have had some pretty awesome players, but yeah, Kyle Pitts is that guy that, every season in fantasy football, there's the lure of drafting him because he's Kyle Pitts, but then there's the other side of drafting him, which is what you brought up, that the Falcons don't use him enough. And when I was writing my game story yesterday, following the Jaguars, was at the bottom of the barrel here, which two catches for 21 yards, and that was it. No touchdown.
Ridiculous.
The lone touchdown went to Drake London. And so, I mean, that to me, writing 2 catches, 21 yards, that's not something that you expect out of Kyle Pitts. You anticipate out of Kyle Pitts. And when you look back on it, you have to look at, okay, how many times was he targeted? How many times did Desmond Ridder
4?
Truly look for him? Yeah, because Jacksonville's defense, and I'm going to give him credit for this, Jacksonville's defense is good. They're pretty darn good. And
but it's not just Jacksonville though. They do it against every freaking team.
I know, and
every team.
That's what I was going to get to, is the fact that Jacksonville's defense is good, and it's better than a lot of people give them credit for. And I will say that, and I want that to be heard. At the same time, Murph's got a big point here that it doesn't really matter what defense they play. Kyle Pitts is a relative non-factor a lot of the times, and you wonder why, with him being so talented, why are they not going to him? Why are they not, utilizing him? Because you would imagine him with Drake London back and forth would be a good thing. Now, they did use Jonnu Smith, and Jonnu Smith, who they brought in, former Titan, then Patriot. Jonnu Smith was the leading receiver for the Falcons yesterday.
That's what I'm going to quote Peter Griffin here. You know what really grinds my gears? When Kyle Pitts is not even the most targeted tight end on the team.
Yeah.
And yes, this is a shot at the Atlanta Falcons coaching staff, ownership, and Desmond Ridder. Front office, everything.
Yeah.
Throw the ball to Kyle Pitts if you want to have a chance to win football games. I know they started 2-0, but I believe they've lost their last 2, correct?
Yeah.
I haven't looked.
Yeah.
So they're 2-2 now. I think we've all figured out that Desmond Ridder's not that good. He's okay. He's been okay, but he's not that good. He's not him. So Kyle Pitts is him. Just get him the ball. I would gladly welcome him to New York. I know it'll never happen, but I would gladly welcome him to New York. Take anybody. Send him to, I don't know, the Chargers. Or, trying to think of who else is good that doesn't really have a tight end. Well, I'm not going to say the Raiders because Raiders aren't good.
There's a bunch of teams out there that...
Miami? I don't think Miami has a decent tight end. Who's Miami's tight end?
Miami has...
Because Gesicki's not there anymore.
No, they have Durham.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. I mean, you could send him to Miami. You could send him to... pretty much the majority of the NFL. You could send him to Dallas.
I tell you what, if you send him to Miami, that makes that offense even scarier.
Well, and
with Tua throwing it to Tyreek Hill,
yeah,
Jalen Waddle, and Kyle Pitts.
Speed.
Yeah.
And the thing is...
And Kyle Pitts is fast for a big guy.
Well, and the thing about Kyle Pitts, and they said it yesterday, and it's the same thing with Oronde Gadsden II at Syracuse in college, is that you call him a tight end, but not because he's a tight end, just so you can get another receiver on the field, because that man's a wide receiver.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. But I digress. I think it's enough of trashing the Atlanta Falcons, but I just needed to do that because I've been getting sick and tired of seeing
Yeah.
4 or 5 points from Kyle Pitts in fantasy, and it's not his fault. They're just
Yeah.
not throwing him the ball.
Brendan's like an R&B song today. He's sick and tired of being sick and tired. So, I mean, and listen, we understand, and I totally get it, and you're right in the way that you feel. At the same time, shout out Jaguars on a victory Monday. So,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
this bad boy, because y'all remember when I got the Kyle Pitts helmet. I want it to be worth more. Not that I'm ever going to sell it, but I want it to be worth more because he's going to play better.
yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see.
I digress, though.
We'll see if they use him. We'll see if it happens. But ultimately, to start off things here with baseball, coming off of our conversation that we are having this morning about the world of sports cards and all that good stuff, and Kyle Pitts and sports memorabilia, and Pitts not being utilized that much. Let's go into the Major League Baseball playoff world. We have been set, folks. We know who is going to be where now. We have the Major League Baseball playoff bracket. Murph and I are going to actually be putting this together and unveiling them to you on my social media. So we'll talk about it today, but we're going to physically be filling out this bracket and putting it out to you. So a lot of good stuff that's going on here. Looking at this as we started off here inside of the playoff, the Orioles and the Astros have buys. The Astros being the second seed here. Let me make sure that this is all set up here correctly. Yes, okay. So the Astros being the second seed, which is crazy, but as we told you how things were going to shake out here, Houston and Texas had to figure out who was going to win the division, if they were even going to get into the they were in a position with the final week of baseball going on that they could win the division or be the wild card team or not even make the playoffs. Well, Houston became the number 2 seed, so they will be off. The Orioles will be off as well, automatically advancing to the divisional round. The Blue Jays are the 6th seed. They will play the 3-seeded Twins in a 3-game series. The third game, if necessary, would happen on Thursday. We have a game on Tuesday and on Wednesday at weird times, 4:38 p.m. Eastern Time.
Oh, yeah.
The Rangers at the Rays. The Rangers a 5 seed, the Rays a 4 seed. These games are going to be played in later afternoon. There was a concern they might have been played early. They're not going to be played early. They're going to be played at 3:08 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. The game 3, if necessary, will be on Thursday. On the other side of it, for the National League Wild Card Series, the Braves are the number 1 seed. The Dodgers are the number 2 seed. Dodgers being where we thought they would eventually be, albeit the D-backs did give them a good run this season early on in the season, leading the division of the NL West. The Diamondbacks, the 6th seed, will be on the road at Milwaukee going up against the Brewers, who are the 3 seed. Those games will be at nighttime on ESPN2 at 7:08 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm just happy I can watch my Diamondbacks play. And the Marlins, the number 5 seed, will be at the Phillies 4 seed starting on Tuesday and Wednesday at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Game 3, if necessary, will also be on Thursday. So that is where we are. We have games starting tomorrow, and they will run us Tuesday and Wednesday. You'll be able to see all of these games on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2. So most of you will be able to watch these games, which is how it should be. And my question to you, Murph, is who is the biggest surprise or biggest surprises that got into the postseason?
I think you got to start with the biggest surprise that did not make the postseason. That's the Seattle Mariners. We talked about this last week, that the Mariners were in control of their own destiny.
Yep.
They had 3 against Houston and 4 against the Rangers.
Yep.
And they lost 2 out of 3 to Houston. And I believe they lost, I think they split with the Rangers. They basically shot themselves in the foot. That team had the tools to make a deep postseason run. They did. They really did. So if I was them, I would have wanted to really get into the postseason, because I think they would have ended up, I think they play Marlins. And I'm thrilled they made the playoffs. I'm excited to see them in the playoffs. They drew the Phillies, which is not a good matchup. I mean, neither would the Brewers be, but that's besides the point. But the Marlins all year have been carried by their pitching and by their defense. They went and got some bats at the deadline. They picked up Jake Berger at the deadline to get them a little bit more power in the middle of the lineup. Solaire's been good. He was hurt briefly near the end of the year, but he's back now. Luis Ariz became the first player in Major League history to lead both leagues, to be the batting champion of both leagues in back-to-back years, which, shout out to him, that was awfully impressive. There were rumblings that he could hit 400 for a while. I didn't see his final batting average for the year, but I imagine it was close to 350. And they were carried by their pitching, and they're doing it without Sandy Alcantara, reigning National League Cy Young Award winner, which is awfully impressive. The Marlins have really developed pitching well.
Yeah.
And that is the main reason why they're going to be in the postseason. 84 wins. Pretty surprising that they're going to be in there with 84 wins, but that's okay. They drew the Phillies. And we'll get into this in a minute as we actually fill out the bracket, but that's a really tough draw in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, again, with the Miami Marlins getting to where they got to, they did enough. They did what they needed to do down the stretch, and there was other teams that faltered. And granted, the Diamondbacks helped them out a bit with, taking down the Reds and the Cubs. And
that helped a lot.
That definitely opened a door for Miami and for Arizona. And Arizona was in control of their destiny. They were in the second wild card of the National League. They had the opportunity to become that second wild card team, stay there, but all they had to do, and this is the thing that's so tough, and when I saw the post about it, it just kind of makes you think like, okay, now I feel like it's not going to happen. When they say things like, it's all right in front of us, all we have to do is win. That's all that needs to happen. And you're like, yeah, it is. And sometimes when something's right in front of your face, you don't see it or you don't get it. They knew
Seattle Mariners?
Yeah, so you knew what was there. And yeah, we talked about, you brought it up, we talked about the Seattle Mariners, the fact that Seattle was right there. They were in control of their destiny. They literally had 2 series left against the 2 teams ahead of them. It was beat the Astros, beat the Rangers. All of the games were at home. You got 7 games, 3-game series against the Astros, 4-game series against the Rangers. If you handle business, you win the division. If you handle most of the business, you get in the playoffs. So it was win the division or at least get a wild card. They got nothing. The Arizona Diamondbacks were in a better place. It was, hey, you guys don't have to do much. You've done almost enough. Just win a few more of these games, handle your business, and get in. And that's what they did. But down the stretch, they got some help from other teams getting big-time victories that knocked some other teams out of contention completely.
Correct.
Which left the Arizona Diamondbacks at the 6th seed because they needed to win those last couple games to differentiate themselves from the Marlins. However, I'm going to tell you something. I'm kind of okay with Arizona being the 6th because I think it's a better matchup for them to play Milwaukee than it is to play Philly. I feel better about it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm okay this morning. Do I want you to fight to be the highest you could be? Absolutely. But do I feel like the Phillies could catch fire here right now? A little bit. I'm kind of feeling like the Phillies are facing the Braves no matter what. So in the respect of the series itself, I feel better for Arizona to have Milwaukee than I feel for Arizona to have Philly this morning. We'll
so
see
here's
how I
here's
feel
the thing about
as the
that.
series goes on, though.
So here's the thing about that. I know Milwaukee's a better draw than the Phillies, but they're a really good team in a short series. You're going to be facing Corbin Burns,
Yeah,
Brandon Woodruff, and Freddie Peralta. Who are you rolling out there? Zach Gallen in game 1, sure.
Yeah.
But Brandon Pfaadt, I don't know. Like the Brewers have the clear advantage over anybody in a short series pitching wise. When you've got those three guys who could legitimately be number ones on any other team, it's going to be tough to beat. So I don't want to give too much of a sneak preview as to who I'm going to pick, but I hate doing this to you, but I don't think the Diamondbacks have much of a chance. I legitimately think it could be over in 2 games. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's just where my head's at.
Well, I know that this is a team that's done some really awesome things and beat some really awesome teams. Speaking of Arizona, they've also done that thing where they have lost to teams that they should have beat. They've lost to the Yankees down the stretch. They've lost to the Mets down the stretch. They've lost to teams that they should not be losing to. And then also beating teams that are playoff teams, that are leading their divisions, that are strong. So the Diamondbacks have shown me they can play with the best of them, but they also can struggle against the not so great teams. My biggest surprise getting into the playoffs are my Arizona Diamondbacks, because I was concerned about that half a season where you play pretty good and then they would dip off. So my biggest surprise is going to be Arizona and Miami, but Arizona in the sense of they started off doing some good things. They got to a place where they were leading the division. They got to the place where they were leading the division by a bunch of games. And everybody's like, well, the Dodgers, it's going to be the Dodgers. Everybody knows it's the Dodgers. Dan, the Dodgers will come back. The Dodgers will find a way. And they did, but Arizona didn't get the credit for what they did to jockey back and forth. And then they fell to third behind the San Francisco Giants. And then they came back up. So this has been a team that has fought their way up. I don't like how we kind of backed into the playoffs, losing a couple games. But hopefully this is the turnaround. This is what they need. They have the momentum. They have the fan base. They have the support. They have the love. I know they're on the road, but I'm hoping that a lot of you Arizona fans are getting your butt up to a little bit colder of a tundra and going to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to show your support. I have a hashtag that I started. It is my hashtag. If the Diamondbacks decide to use it, all I ask is for some royalty in this. But my hashtag is snake bitten. And every game they win, snake bitten is going to be out there. That is going to be the thing that I utilize. They are a surprise to me because I felt really good about them. Then I felt pretty good but concerned. I never felt like, okay, this team is awful. There was a time where I thought they might be out of it. But the fact that they played themselves a complete season, and at the beginning of the season, I was asked over-under of them having, 67.5 wins or 69 wins? And I said, and I quote, not only do I believe they'll get more wins than that, but I believe that the Arizona Diamondbacks can finish the season, regular season, with 90 wins. That is what I said at the beginning of the season. They got to 84. So I am very proud of the fact that not only did they back me up that I took the over on the 60 whatever wins, but that I said
I think it was 74, but they shattered that.
yeah. I know
They
we
beat that
got
weeks
asked the
ago.
question though. It was like 69 and a half. What do we think? And I took the over. I said 90. I said don't be surprised if they're a 90 win team at the end of all of this. And they're an 84 win team. They are a
They
playoff
got
team.
close.
They did
They
get
did.
close. So they made me feel very good about my prediction, but all of that now leads into what do they do from here. The Miami Marlins, they surprised me as well. Miami's one of those teams, aka the Florida Marlins of old, one of those teams that was at the bottom of the barrel, right? Won a World Series, and people were like, how the heck did they do that? They were so bad. But
Twice.
yeah, and the thing,
They after the so there's actually a really interesting story after they won the World Series in '97. The ownership stripped down the team, with getting for trade for some prospects and everything, and they kind of won in 2003 by accident. That team wasn't necessarily designed to win,
yeah.
so they kind of stumbled into that. So it's actually a really interesting story. I think I don't remember where it is on YouTube, but just look up like how the Marlins won the 2003 World Series or something like that. I don't remember exactly which video it is, but there were a couple really interesting videos about that I think is a really interesting watch to really see how they took the 97 team apart and built the 2003 team that ended up winning the World Series just by pure chance.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is, when you look back on the Marlins of being a team that finds a way to win, but that nobody expected, right? Bottom of the barrel, they rise up. Bottom of the barrel, they rise up. A team that continuously, throughout history, has had moments where they have risen up to a place where not a lot of people anticipated that they would be. The Miami Marlins have been at the bottom of the NL East more often than not, and the Nationals decided to take that place from them this year, and the Miami Marlins were able to get to where they needed to get to. The Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds had opportunities, plenty of opportunities. 83 wins for the Cubs, 82 wins for the Reds. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they had opportunities as well. They started off hot. People wondered if they were going to stay with it. San Diego Padres, one of the most expensive payrolls in baseball, they get to 82 and 80 and they don't make the playoffs. The San Francisco Giants end with a losing record. So credit the Miami Marlins for the way that they played and what they did to get to where they are. They didn't have to play that extra, or they didn't have to make up a game. So they finished the season 84 and 77. But to see them be where they are and to do what they've done, and because they didn't have to make up that game, they have that little edge, that like half a game or whatever above.
Well,
the
they would have
Arizona
had the tiebreaker over the Diamondbacks anyway, so that's the reason why they didn't make it
Yeah.
up.
And that was and to the thing, I mean, when you look at this here, if the Diamondbacks had won and were in a better position, had 85 wins, and then were to force
It would have
this,
forced that
yeah.
game to happen.
But that game
Absolutely.
not happening because they lost their last couple, the Arizona
Yes.
Diamondbacks did. Being put in this position where their records are almost exactly the same, but one's going to be a 5 seed, one's going to be a 6. The teams that did not surprise us getting into the playoffs, Murph, who do you have for that? As far as where they are, maybe where they're seated, the ones that you're not surprised at all.
I mean, the obvious one is the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
I mean, they came into this year. Now, obviously, as you know, I was saying before the year that like the Mets are it's the Mets and the Braves, the Mets and the Braves. I didn't necessarily think the Mets would definitely win the division. I thought there was a good chance they could win the division. The Braves very quickly extinguished that thought. They took like a 10-game lead on the Mets by like June, and that was basically all she wrote. With all the injuries the Mets were dealing with, but that team legitimately might be better than the team that won the World Series in 2021. What the Atlanta Braves do to build their organization through draft and develop international signings, and then they keep these guys on team-friendly long-term deals. Like Acuna's on like an 8-year, $180 million contract.
Yeah.
Ozzy Albies has like a 7-year, $100 million contract. The only one that's getting big money on that team is Matt Olson, and it's only because he's not a homegrown talent. They traded for him. He's like 8 for like 2 and change or something like that, 250 maybe. I don't remember exactly the terms of his deal, but I would imagine they're going to try and lock up Spencer Strider sometime soon. They've locked up all of these good players, so that core is not going anywhere. That team is really good, and they're going to be really good for a long time. And it kills me to say that because as a Mets fan, I hate the Atlanta Braves with a burning passion. As a kid, and any Mets fan that's my age should know, as a kid, the Braves ran the NL East. They ran it. For the record, we were talking about this before with the Marlins 2 World Series. The Marlins have never won the NL East. Not once. Ever. And they have 2 World Series and only 4 playoff appearances. So that's an interesting stat for your bingo cards there. But the Braves ran the NL East from, I think it was 1995. No, maybe like 1991 or 1992, all the way through 2005. They won the division every single year. Every year. It's kind of like what the Dodgers are doing with the NL West right now. And then obviously 2006 rolls around. that Mets team comes out there and is really good and knock the Braves out of the division. Finally. And then the Phillies win the division a couple of times, and then it's the Braves again. So they've kind of dominated the division again in recent years, but we'll see what happens with that. But the answer is obviously the Braves. But the one other surprise that I didn't mention before,
yeah,
simply based on seeding, I had a feeling they could make the playoffs. I did not think they'd be the number one overall seed in the American League. Baltimore Orioles. And the crazy thing is that team's ahead of schedule. They may not win the World Series this year. I mean, they could. Who knows? But they may not win the World Series this year. But that team for a long time is going to be really good. They have drafted incredibly well. Now, granted, all of their draft picks that they've developed, for the most part, are high first-round picks. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holiday, even though he's not up yet. That team is going to be really good for a long time. They just need to get some arms. If they falter, it's going to be their pitching staff that does it.
Yeah.
So, do I think they could make the World Series? Yes. But I think it's going to be tough for them because they don't have the arms that are built for the postseason. I really don't think they do. So I think if they don't make or win the World Series this year, I think what they have to go out and do is sign up a couple of pitchers. They don't need, like a super ace. Like they don't need to go sign, Yoshinobu Yamamoto from Japan, although it would be very helpful for them. But go get like an Aaron Nola who's pitched in the postseason multiple times. Go get I'm trying to think of some other guys that are free agents, like a Marcus Stroman. That's probably going to be a free agent. Guys like that, who aren't like aces, but are very good pitchers.
Yeah, and I think when we look at and that was another one that I was wanting to talk about is the fact that the Baltimore Orioles are the number one seed. The fact that they came up, did what they needed to do. The Tampa Bay Rays came out striking. They did so many amazing things like they have been doing over many years now with different guys coming in and out, and the Rays continue to be that team that's a pain in the tush to play, and to say the least. And the Baltimore Orioles doing everything that they did this season to be where they are right now, to take hold of it, to beat the Rays head-to-head, and then to find their way to rise up the ranks and stay at number one overall, above the Astros, above the Rangers, above anybody out there is another surprise. And we'll see what they do with it, because the Baltimore Orioles, the way that they have been playing and everything that they've been doing and how this team has really shown up all season long, where in the past they would show up striking really, really early on and then they'd fade to the not out of the playoffs. They would be at the bottom of the AL East. They would come out as a team that could win 10 games quick or 15 games quick, and then all of a sudden in a 162 game season they would finish with a losing record, an abysmal record, and they would be 5 out of 5 in the AL East. So I think the anticipation and the hype is that they'll make it to the World Series, but they got to run a gamut here. They got to beat the likes of the Rays or the Rangers in their first series. Then if they get past that series, are they seeing the Astros? Who are they seeing from there? So, this is going to be definitely a good one. I think my non-surprise where, I thought they would be, I thought the Braves would be in the postseason after winning 2 years ago in 2022. I'm not surprised that the Dodgers are in the top two. So those are non-surprises to me. The Astros are a non-surprise to me to be in the top two of the American League. So like the usual suspects are there, but the Baltimore Orioles like infiltrated that usual suspect top four of recent history, which I'm really excited about. And, I would say that really nothing else is as surprised. I'm a little surprised with Tampa in the fact that they didn't challenge maybe a little. I mean, they did it. They did an incredible effort, but the fact that they stayed behind the Orioles here by a couple games, they got to 99 wins. Orioles got to 101. So what I will say is incredible is Wander Franco not being a part of the team,
Ooh.
and Tampa Bay still got to 90, still got to
Yeah.
99 wins, still got in the postseason, still did more than enough. Bats were still alive. The team stayed together. The clubhouse stayed together. They found a way to win. I think the story that may not be being talked about enough is that Tampa lost one of their great, amazing, incredible young stars of 22 years old and are still just 2 games away from not only winning their division, a few games, well, I should say more than 2 games away because they head to head, but a couple games away, plus they could have been at the top of this whole thing as the number 1 seed. They weren't far off from being there. So there's a lot to be said about the Tampa Bay Rays doing everything that they've done to get into this postseason and just shy of 100 wins, and they did it without Wander Franco for many of these games, and they did not seem to
stretch
lose.
at least, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't seem to miss a beat. So
It's because the Rays develop players so well. Their
but
player
there's so much
development is
credit
unbelievable.
to that team. I mean, there's so much credit to that team, that culture, that environment, that system, that when somebody goes out for whatever reason, injury, suspension, this, that, and the third, trade, goes somewhere else, gets more money as a free agent. Tampa Bay continues to stay relevant, and this Tampa Bay team, in my opinion, is a sleeping giant because people want to pick the Rangers and they want to say the Orioles. But I'm going to tell you right now, Tampa Bay is one of those teams that could find their way into the World Series. I do believe that. And I feel like because they're the 4 seed and because they're playing in the wild card, people want to kind of write it off a little bit. But Tampa Bay is one heck of a team that went through something nobody else went through this season, which is losing someone to a very unique situation and finding a way to continue to win.
Yeah, and we still don't know for sure if that story's true, but the more that comes out about it, the more I'm starting to believe that it's true.
Yeah.
If it is true, he'll never play baseball again.
No,
and he shouldn't.
No.
Realistically, Marcelo Zuna shouldn't be playing baseball anymore with what he's done. There are certain guys that should have no business being in Major League Baseball again.
Yeah.
Have the privilege to play on the biggest stage with doing things like that. I mean, those two guys are just scumbags. If that's true with Wander Franco, that he is just an absolute scumbag. He should go to prison in the Dominican Republic. He should, if that's the case. But I'm not going to pass judgment yet because we don't know for sure if it's true.
Yeah.
But like I said, if it is, throw him in jail and lock him in jail and throw away the key.
Yeah, and I think that it's, listen, you're guilty until proven innocent. At least that's how it should be. And if any of it comes
other way around.
Yeah, and most of the time it's the other way around, especially for men in 2023. But, and I'm not saying this in defense of Wander, I'm saying not every man is guilty of what is said about them. And sometimes
Trevor Bauer?
Yeah. Sometimes when this stuff gets, put out in public, people automatically think what they think because of the society that we live in that loves to point fingers and judge. But if Wander Franco is if he is guilty, then I don't know many things that sound worse than going to jail ... in the Dominican Republic. So I don't feel like, no matter what.
I don't know what their legal system's like, but it's probably more scary than it is here.
Right. And the thing about it too is, athletes and entertainers get treated differently. We get put in this place where it's like, hey, you're an athlete. If we find you guilty of an actual real world crime, you can't play anymore. But you might not have to go to jail. And it's like, no, if you commit a crime, you go to jail. That should be number one. It shouldn't be like, well, should he play baseball again? No, he should be in jail. So
can't do the time, don't do the crime.
And there's other people that should be in jail as well for crimes that were committed and over different things. And there's been really unique situations.
Deshaun Watson. Oh, what?
Deshaun Watson, everything that came up with that. Think of Jamal Lewis, when they found the cocaine and they said to him, you don't have to go to jail. Well, this how it was.
John Morant.
They're like, we found you for cocaine. Finish your season. Make sure you don't make the playoffs. Then come to jail in the off season, and we'll get you out of jail by training camp. I don't know who has that rule besides like El Chapo or like Fidel Castro or something like that. But it worked out for Jamal Lewis back in the day. You know, Ray Lewis was in some dicey things that never really materialized. I mean, and again, there's a.
I mean, wasn't Snoop Dogg on death row at one point?
Potentially. I mean, it's I don't even know if Snoop Dogg,
because I know he was accused of murder. I thought I read something that he was on death row at one point and then was proven innocent.
Well, he now owns Death Row Records. So let's see if it let's see here.
Let's find out.
I don't let's see here. We reveal the truth that finally got released from his. Oh no, not that. Yeah, the funny thing about Death Row Records is when you look up Snoop Death Row, that's all you get. So, yeah. So I'm not sure. Let's see here. If Snoop Dogg, this is what we're doing on a Monday morning. We're looking up if Snoop Dogg was ever on death row for murder. So, on the 1993 murder charge, a charge with first-degree murder. Let's go ahead and look at this here. So he was charged with first-degree murder after a member of a rival gang was shot and killed by Snoop's bodyguard, McKinley Lee, who fired the shot while he was in the 21-year-old rapper's vehicle, meaning Snoop Dogg. So, let's see here. What happened next would go beyond the basis of Snoop's 1995 trial. We're looking at this right now.
I could be wrong, because I can't find anything either.
Snoop's friend, who was also at the scene, held the gun. And if that was enough to aid Snoop in beating his case. So yeah, there was different thing in the police department's negligence in this as well. So yeah, Snoop was involved in what was considered first-degree murder, but nothing came of it. For those of you that wanted to know this morning in pop culture today. So, but yeah, so I mean, the reality of what we're talking about here is that athletes and entertainers are treated differently. And they might commit a crime that might affect them from playing the game they love or being in this movie or this, that, and whatever. But maybe they don't go to jail. So guilty until proven innocent is something that I think we need to remember, folks. And let's see what happens and how this plays out. All these things that we've heard over the years and seen over the years, and even with Mel Tucker and Michigan State, you want to hope that this stuff is not true, because if it is, it's a horrific thing in a lot of cases. And I just hope for the safety, security, peace, and health of anybody involved in whatever has gone on out there in this crazy world that we live in. Major League Baseball, though, to look at this postseason, Murph and I will reveal our brackets. Wait for it. Right after this.
All right, Ryan.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm hanging out with Murph as we always start off the week that way. We had a question that came in, and it was something I was going to ask Murph about anyways when I saw the news come up yesterday. And so definitely wanted to get your thoughts being a Mets fan, but knowing that Buck Showalter will not be back as the Mets manager, the question that came in is who should be the Mets manager? So two-part question, Murph. How do you feel about Buck parting ways with the Mets? And who do you think should take the place?
It's sad. I mean, I love Buck. I think Buck did everything he could to, help put a winning team on the field. This year it was kind of out of his control. It wasn't exactly his fault. There were injuries. It was poor play. You can't really necessarily get on the manager for poor play. It's not like he was making bad decisions. I mean, yeah, he was trotting Daniel Vogelback out there every day, but I don't think that was his call. I think that was management's call to throw Daniel Vogelback out there at DH. But realistically, like the pitching decisions he made were fine. I don't really think I remember any major pitching change issues that were, an issue. And he led a 101 win season last year and won Manager of the Year.
Yeah.
So I mean he's I believe the only manager in Major League history to win Manager of the Year in 4 different decades, which is quite amazing. But I was surprised. I think they should have held on to him, but apparently it was David Stern's decision. So, obviously he's the new president of baseball ops coming in. He's going to be introduced today in about 2 hours over at Citi Field. 12 noon, I think, is when they're going to do that. So I'll probably watch the press conference for a little bit before I head out to Jersey to the golf course, because we're all going out as a center to go play some golf today, which will be pretty fun. Raining, and if any of my golf tech compatriots are listening to this from any of the other centers, we are the champs. Golf Tech Lehigh Valley are the Golf Tech Open champs for the next year. So we've got the belt in our possession, and it's going to stay there.
Good stuff.
Permanently. But yeah, I think it was Stern's decision, it seems like. And as far as who I'd like to see as the manager, I don't really know. I wasn't exactly doing any sort of, research into it. The name I keep hearing come up is Craig Counsell from the Brewers. I don't know if he's on an expiring contract, so I don't know if the Mets would be able to even interview him. I mean, especially because the Brewers wouldn't let them interview David Stearns. Why would they let them interview Craig Counsell? Um, but I mean, that's a name that keeps coming up. I mean, I had a couple people ask me this yesterday when I was out. Some said Girardi, some said Mattingly. I was like, Mattingly maybe, but I don't think Girardi. Last time around, I would have been okay with Joe Girardi, but
Yeah.
this time I don't think that's an option. The other one that keeps coming in my head, and I haven't really heard it yet, and it was because now that I think the sentiment on the Astros has died down a bit. Carlos Beltran, I think, would be a good option. They hired him as manager once. It's possible they do it again, and he's back in the organization. So, if he's not the manager, I do think they should put him on the coaching staff in some capacity.
Yeah.
Make him the bench coach, make him a hitting coach, whatever you need to do. Especially because, there's a lot of Spanish players on the team, whether it's in Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, wherever. And I think that would be a good person to have in the clubhouse, especially somebody who did that for 20 years of his career and was always, for the most part, a pretty team-oriented guy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, obviously the Astros scandal, he was the only player that was named in it, and it's destroying his Hall of Fame candidacy, which is unfortunate, but it's an interesting one. I mean, if you had to ask me today, my top two options is Craig Counsell and Carlos Beltran. That would be my two main options right now. But now that Buck is officially gone, I'm gonna have to do a little research into it. So I'll have to take some time to figure out who I think would make sense. Yeah. But off the top of my head, those two make perfect sense.
Yeah, well, I like it. I mean, Carlos Beltran. I mean that could be a really unique, exciting, kind of entertainment-wise, baseball-wise, connecting in a unique way-wise, former player-wise. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things that could do to maybe give a little spark to the New York Mets. So
yeah,
that is a not terrible thought at all to put in there. Before we got to get to football, so let's do it here. We got the bracket up. We're going to be unveiling these on the social medias, so you'll be able to see Brendan's full bracket, and you'll see my full bracket as well. PJ and I will talk about it later in the week, of course, but we'll be talking on Thursday, and Thursday is the if necessary games. These games start tomorrow. I will be watching wire to wire. The games start at 3 o'clock. The last game start at 8 o'clock. So we're talking from like 3 to 11. I will be watching all the way through. And again, thank you to the wonderful world of the playoffs where my Diamondbacks are on television all the time, because that should happen more often. Shout out to Corbin Carroll and the crew. So let's go, Murph, into the American League, and I will guide you through. Number 1 seeded Orioles are off until the next round for the ALDS. Who makes it to face them? The number 4 seeded Rays or the number 5 seeded Texas Rangers?
I was wrestling back and forth with this as we were talking about this before.
Yeah.
Originally, I had picked the Rangers, but the more I thought about it, I don't think the Rangers have enough pitching in a short series to get through. I think the Rays still develop pitching really well, and they've still got arms that are good. The Trop's not a major home field advantage. I mean, they don't ever fill up the Trop. Even during the playoffs, those seats in the upper deck are never open. But I'm going to say the Rays simply because I just think they're the better team. Short series, anything can happen, and you got to win 2 games. But yeah, I'm going to say the Rays also partly because of the way the Rangers ended the season.
Okay.
I don't think their end to the season was all that special, so losing the division, yeah, they're going to be motivated, but I think that's also what might knock them out. So I'm going to go with the Rays.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the difference between winning the division or having to play this first series. I mean, that was literally the difference, which was, again, we talk about things that are right in front of you. That was the difference here. It was, hey, if you stay at the top, and they were leading in the final week, the Rangers were over the Astros, if you win your division, you get to sit and watch. Now, you got to face the Rays. A little bit different here. Ken, what do we got? A question. Cam Ward is the best quarterback in the nation and is the Heisman frontrunner. Let's go Washington State. So we got some love from a fan here who's looking at Cam Ward in Washington State right now. Ken, we appreciate it, Kenny. Thank you for tuning in and for giving us your thoughts here. As we continue on the baseball side of things, Murph says Rays, and if you couldn't take it from my conversation that we were having here earlier and everything that I've said about it, I respect the Rangers, I do. But I think the Rays are, again, one of those teams that very well could be the top team in the American League without Wander. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Rays over the Rangers as well because of their pitching, because of their hitting, because of their way of bouncing back, because of not making excuses and always finding a way. I'm going to pick the Rays to move forward here. All right, Murph, so we're going to go to the other side of the ALDS, which will have the Houston Astros, the number 2 seed, facing the Minnesota Twins in a division where nobody wanted to win. The American League Central, the only winning record of the American League with 5 teams in it, belongs to the Minnesota Twins, and the Toronto Blue Jays make sure that 3 teams once again make it from the American League East who decided that they want to take 50% of the American League in the playoffs every single year. The Blue Jays are in, the Twins are in. The Jays have had some really good games, and they've come from arguably the toughest division in baseball. And the Twins come from maybe the weakest or one of the weakest divisions in baseball.
The weakest. I don't think it's much of a stretch.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
I'm gonna just keep this short. It's the Blue Jays. Barrios, Gosman. It's the Blue Jays. I think they went in 2.
Yeah, Blue Jays here. Listen, if the Blue Jays do not win this, then to me this is a blunder of epic proportions by the Blue Jays. Yeah. They should be able...
I mean, the Twins still have good pitching, so in a short series, anything can happen.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez are probably going to start those 2 games, and, you know, I don't know who's going to start the 3rd game for them, but, you know, I just think the Blue Jays pitching is better. I think their lineup is better. I think their bullpen is better. I'm just going to keep it short because I think that series is going to be just that short.
Yeah, I think the Blue Jays, listen, I consider them a threat to certain teams that were out there, and they were trying to, you know, give whatever they could inside of the American League East. These, I mean, everybody's battle tested, I get that, but some of these divisions feel more battle tested because of who they have to go up against. And the Jays are a team that's overlooked because of the Rays and because of the Orioles, and I think overlooking them may be a mistake. So I got the Blue Jays advancing to face off against the Astros as well. Let's jump to the other side of the entire thing here in the National League. The Braves are the number 1 seed. The Dodgers are the 2. They will sit and wait for the divisional series. The Phillies and the Marlins, 4 versus 5 respectively, to face the Braves. Who do you got?
As much as I want to say the Marlins, it has to be the Phillies. I mean, their lineup's just too good. Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Trey Turner. Just go down the list. JT Realmuto. You could keep going forever, but you're not really gonna find a better lineup in baseball outside of maybe the Braves. So I think it's gonna be the Phillies. I think the Marlins give them a series. I think it could go 3 games. But I'm gonna pick the Phillies.
Yeah, this is the reason why I didn't want the Diamondbacks to have to play the Phillies, is because, like you said, next to the Braves, outside of the Braves, you know, who has the better lineup here? The Phillies have a lot, and they're in a little bit of that shadow of obviously what the Braves have done in recent history in winning a World Series in the last 2 years, and the fact that the Braves are the number 1 team coming out of the NL East. But that should not keep you from the reality that the Phillies would be leading other divisions in baseball if they were not in the NL East. So I think the Phillies are a danger zone, and as much
they
as
would
I
have
want
won every division in the American League other than the East.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, if the Phillies... I want the Marlins to make this something. I would love for the Marlins to win a game.
I think they do.
I would love.
They're
for these
pesky, so I think they do.
And maybe, I mean, it might be one of those like 1-0 games. Might be one of those games that's just kind of maybe right out of the gate. they take one, and the
I
Phillies got to
think
win
they
two
beat.
in a row?
I think they beat Nola in game 2.
Okay.
To be honest, I would imagine Wheeler's going to start game 1,
Yeah.
but I think they beat Nola in game 2 because he's the type of guy that's susceptible to giving up a lot of hits, and he's not going to give up big hits. I don't think there's going to be many home runs. I think the Marlins are just going to dink and dunk around him. They'll give up probably like 4 runs on 7 or 8 hits in 6 innings, and the Marlins might win like 4-2 or 4-3 or something like that. I could see them winning game 2 and forcing a game 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I think they'll steal. I think they might steal the first game and kind of shake it all up. But I got the Phillies winning the series as well. So I have the Phillies here. As much as I would love to see the Marlins do it, I'm gonna pick the Phillies over the Marlins. Which leads us to who will face the Dodgers in the NLDS. The Dodgers are 2 seed.
I'll let you go first for your team.
The Milwaukee Brewers, thank you, the 3 seed, and the Diamondbacks, the 6 seed. I know the Diamondbacks backpedaled a little bit into this thing, but my hashtag snake bitten is way too early to be gone. Snake bitten is the hashtag. It's not the official Diamondbacks hashtag, but at the end of all this, I'm hoping that it will be. Every time they beat anybody, I'm going to have snake bitten. I might throw it in the middle of some of these games. So I am going to go ahead, and not because this is my heart, but because I have seen them do enough. Now, I don't have them going far in this thing, and I hope I'm wrong. My heart wants them to go to the World Series against the Orioles. But
who wouldn't want that?
But what
it was like the Mets last year. I was like, I want them to go into the World Series and play the Yankees.
I
would have loved that.
My heart would love to see Diamondbacks Orioles, but I'm at least going to see, in my opinion, and I know they've been a thorn in the side before, and I remember being down in St. Augustine and watching this thing and being very frustrated in a Milwaukee Brewers team that was trying to keep these Diamondbacks out of the playoffs. The Diamondbacks will find, in my opinion, enough to get 2. Do I believe that they can get 2 games? Yeah. And they play well against those good teams. And like I said, against the teams that they should be rolling over, they've struggled at times. I don't know if they played down or maybe they thought, hey, we're not going to expect much out of this team. I don't know what it is. I hope that wasn't the thought. I don't believe it is. I think this Diamondbacks team has a lot of heart in it, has a lot of fight in it, has a lot of drive in it. They obviously have talent with the bats, and I think they have better pitching than some people might give them credit for. I don't think it's Zach Gallen or bust. I think there's a little bit more coming up the strings here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Arizona because they got to win 2 out of 3, and I think they can do that. Murph.
I can't pick the D-backs. I'm sorry. I can't in good conscience pick the D-backs. And it goes back to what I said before. The Brewers have the best pitching staff for a short series. There is no one in baseball, and I'm even going to say as far as this, even the preseason Mets with Scherzer, Verlander, and Senga were not better than Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta. It's just not like those 3 guys are so good. I don't even think Peralta needs to pitch. I think they say Peralta for game 1 against the Dodgers. So I'm going to say it's a 2-0 sweep with the Milwaukee Brewers. And I genuinely think Milwaukee can make a deep run. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But I like the Brewers a lot this postseason.
Well, Murph, with all the love that I have for you, I can only hope that you and the rest of the world, not by a real one, but by the D-backs, join me in getting a little snake bitten this postseason. So I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks. You're going to go with the Brewers. Okay, so let's go over to the ALDS, the Final Four of the American League, which is going to be Orioles-Rays and Astros-Jays for the both of us. So give me the 2 teams you think will advance to the ALCS.
I'm going to start with the 2-6 matchup. I think it's Houston. They have been to the ALCS now. This would make it, I want to say,
hold on, do you need a drum roll?
7 years. I think it'd be 7 years in a row they'd make the the championship series.
Yeah.
I think that streak lives. I do. I Blue Jays are a decent team. I could see them upsetting the Astros, but it's the Astros.
Yep.
We saw this when they were the wild card team in 2021. They still went to the World Series. It can happen. I'm picking Houston, and then Orioles Rays was tough.
Yeah.
I wanted to go Baltimore, then I wanted to go Tampa.
Yeah.
The more I thought about this, the more I think the atmosphere in Baltimore is going to be amazing. I think the Orioles are going to feed off of it, and I think the Orioles are going to win the series, and I do think it goes 5 games. Astros, I think, win in 4. Orioles, I think, win in 5.
Yeah, this one, I got to tell you, I don't want to pick this one when we talk about the Orioles and the Rays. Because I'm happy for I'm happy for both of the teams. Honestly, I'm going to be happy no matter what. I would love to see the Jays beat the Astros and then have an all AL East at the top, because I believe the AL East has been the best division in baseball for a couple of years now. So this is tough for me. The Astros are the easy pick. They're the one that's like,
they're still the defending champs.
right, you know, and it's not a difficult one to pick. I think a lot of people are going to think that they're going to bowl over the Jays, and that's, you know, to me, do I think they can do it? Yes. Do I think that they have enough? Yeah. Do I think they'd have to go the entire series? Probably. So I am not going to be surprised. You know what? I got to go with where it's at. So I know the Astros have been exciting. I know that they've been wonderful. I know that they have a streak. I know that they have history. But I also know that what I'm about to say, I would regret not saying if I ended up being right. So I would regret not saying it if I keep it inside and this ends up coming true. So I'm going to say it, and I might be the only person in America to do it, but I'm going to say Blue Jays over the Astros, because I know I'm going to kick myself a week from now if this doesn't happen, or a couple weeks from now if this doesn't happen, and I'm sitting here going, yeah, I would have picked them. Well, I don't want to say shoulda, woulda, coulda. I believe that you only go around this life one time. So I'm going to pick the Blue Jays over the Astros. It's going to take the entire series for them to do it, but I think they'll gut it out. I think the Astros might overlook it a little bit. I know they're talented. I know they have a lot running for them. I completely understand that, and some people might think I'm crazy, but I would be crazy to not make this pick, because I can see myself in the future kicking my own tail, just like Jim Carrey in Liar Liar if I didn't say it. So I'm going to say Jays over the Astros. And if I'm right, well, then I guess I might be the only person in America that says that thing, besides the Jays themselves. As far as the Rays and the Orioles, this is the game that I don't want to pick. I think that, you know, head to head, obviously this season, we've seen the Orioles have success, and I struggle with this one, because I feel like the Rays are a team that very well could make it to the World Series, and I feel that way about them pretty much all of these last few years. Now, I know that they just split the series with the Rays 2-2. So, you know, seeing that and seeing how the Orioles have played all season, they've been able to keep the Rays at bay, and I totally mean that pun. But I mean, when we go back to July, they had beaten them 4-1 in their series. It was a big old series. And then, or 3-1. Was it 3-1? 3-1. Pardon me. For some reason, I'm reading this wrong. So 3-1, they had done that. And then going down here, they split 2-2 in September. Most recently here, mid-September. I think that the Rays are a team that is poised to do it. I also think the Orioles are more than capable of doing it. The Rays know what they have to do. They know what they will put the entire pitching staff out there if they have to. The Orioles, I really honestly believe, can be a World Series team this year. And it pains me to make this pick, especially because I may find myself down in Tampa at some point here in the next couple weeks. But I'm going to pick the Orioles over the Rays. I think the Rays have enough to do it, but my gut's not there. And so I got to go with the Orioles in this one, as much as I believe the Rays are talented enough to do it. I don't see it this year. I see the Orioles with a slight edge. I see them having a slight edge.
I think the only way you can pick the Rays is if you pick on experience.
Yeah.
I mean, this team's been in the postseason multiple years in a row, and they're giving themselves a chance. The Orioles have not made the playoffs in quite some time.
Yeah.
So the experience is not in their court, but they're going to have the home crowd advantage, and Camden Yards is going to be rocking during the first 2 games of that series. And I imagine it will be rocking during Game 5 of that series, and I do think it will go 5 games. But I like the pick. I think it makes all the sense in the world. But then you get to the National League. This is where it gets tough.
Yeah, I had to go with the Orioles, but if they could play 7 games, they would. I think them and the Rays, just watch them play, have their own mini World Series. So let's go to the Braves. The Braves taking on the Phillies in both of our minds. Who do you got?
Braves. I know the Phillies beat them last year, but I think the Braves will use that as fuel. They're not going to lose to the Phillies twice.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Braves as well. The Braves have shown, listen, Philadelphia makes it as the top wild card team in the National League, which makes you think, oh my gosh, they had to be so close to the Braves, but they're actually not. The Braves were double-digit games ahead.
14 games back.
Yeah, 14 games, and that was a normal, not just now, but throughout this season here. Once Atlanta caught fire, they flew up by double-digit games on the rest of their division of the National League East. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Braves here. I don't see the Phillies doing it again, and so I'm going to go ahead and pick Atlanta to move forward. Atlanta's a dangerous team. The year that they won the World Series a couple of years ago, I said they were the weakest team coming in. They were the 6th seed in the National League. A lot of people agreed with me that they were the weakest team and they won the World Series. So anything can happen, but I'm going to go with the Braves to move forward here. There's just too much, and Atlanta's too strong to not make it to the NLCS, in my opinion. Dodgers, Brewers for you. Dodgers, Diamondbacks for me. We'll go to yours first, Murph. What do you got?
Real quick, back on the Braves.
Yep.
I am guilty of saying that as well back in 2021. But this Braves team is too good. It's like last year's Astros. They're too good to lose.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked them. Brewers, Dodgers. This is going to be an interesting series. The Dodgers pitching staff, especially now that Julio Urias is another scumbag if those reports are true. But I picked the Brewers. I don't see the Dodgers being able to hang out with the Brewers because I think the Brewers are going to win their first 2 games against the Diamondbacks. So I think they sweep that series, which means Freddie Peralta is going to go game 1 against Clayton Kershaw. Now, that could be a very interesting scenario because we all know Kershaw's playoff struggles. I could see this game not making it back to LA. I think the Brewers winning in 4 because I think it'll be Peralta, then it'll be Burns again, then it'll be Woodruff again. So I don't know if this series is going to make it back to LA. I'm going to go with the Brewers, and I think they win it 3-1.
All right, Murph going Brewers. I think the Brewers, I do think that I picked the Diamondbacks in the 2, but I do think if the Brewers get through this, that they could be a very dangerous team. I do agree with you that they are not the team that you want to face in the NLDS, but the Dodgers going up against the Diamondbacks, in mine, the Dodgers finished 16 games above the Arizona Diamondbacks in the division of the NL West. When we go back and look at the series that we had here between the two teams. I want to make a note as we go to, I'm going to go to the first half of the season and the second half and take a look overall at how things shook out. They started the season against each other, and the Dodgers went 2-2 in the first series against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that was at home in LA, and so they split 2-2. Then they went to Arizona and they lost 3-1. So this would be great if it was in Arizona, but that's not how the series starts here. And then beyond that, in the second half, and I know that they had a blunder later on here, but which leads to them being the 6th seed and not the 5th seed. But looking at them go up against each other again at Arizona, they won both in early August, and then against the Diamondbacks in a 3-game series, they won them all recently. So here's the thing: they've won the last 5, but when you have all of those, maybe it's ripe for the Diamondbacks to swing back here. These series of playing in division, can they sweep the Diamondbacks after beating them the last 5 in a row here? The Dodgers got better over time, and the better that they got, the more games they won against the Diamondbacks. So what are my thoughts on this one? Do I believe that the Diamondbacks can give them anything here? I do believe the Diamondbacks can bring it to them. I do think this series is going to go deeper than people think it's going to go. I think the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers being in the same division is something that can shake up the Dodgers a bit here. My concern with the Diamondbacks is how they played them as of late. My other concern with the Diamondbacks is pitching versus pitching. And can this Diamondbacks team out-hit the Dodgers team if they need to? So this is where my heart and my head fight each other. I'm going Braves over Phillies, but my Diamondbacks playing up against the Dodgers, this is a really difficult one for me to pick because of my heart, but I am going to say the Dodgers over the Diamondbacks to advance here, because as I tell people all the time, it is a cardinal sin to be partial in the broadcasting world. If you're my favorite team and I genuinely believe you're going to win, then I'll pick you to win. If you're my favorite team and I believe that you're going to lose, well, then I pick you to lose, because it is a cardinal sin to be partial, in my opinion. In broadcasting or media of any kind, you have to be able to take yourself back and look at it impartially, or else I don't think you're a good broadcaster. So, Diamondbacks, prove me wrong. I want you to do it. I want you to win. I want you to advance. Nobody has you getting there except you guys. And I hope that that's enough to get you there, knowing that you can do it. You're capable of doing it. I believe in you, and you have my heart.
I mean, hey, that was the Phillies last year.
Yeah. They have
Number
my heart.
6 seed, last team in the playoffs, all the way to the World Series.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It can happen.
They got my
It's
heart.
not likely, but it can happen.
They definitely have my heart, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the Dodgers to win this series. And, hey, my Diamondbacks get a series in this one, something to build on, and I think they will, but I hope.
They're just ahead of schedule. They'll be back.
Yeah.
They're just ahead of schedule.
And,
give them another year or two, more development from Carroll.
Yeah.
Get Drew Jones up to the big leagues, and they'll be back.
But I'm hoping that this NL West rivalry really looks like one and is heatedly awesome in a great way for the Diamondbacks as we move forward in the NLDS. It's tough to play a team in your division in the playoffs in any sport. So we shall see, but I'm going to pick Dodgers. I hope I'm wrong. Let's go to the ALCS and the NLCS, the final 4 of the entire thing. Murph is going with the Orioles and the Astros. So Orioles, Astros, who comes out of the AL? And in the NL, Braves and Brewers, who comes out of that one?
I want to say the Orioles. I do. But like I said before, experience trumps the best team. Now, are the Orioles the best team in the American League? By record, yeah. but the Astros have been there year after year after year. This would be 7 consecutive. Wait, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 7 consecutive years they would be in the American League Championship Series. And they won in 2017. They won in 2019. They won in 2021.
Yeah.
And they won in 2022. They've won 4 out of 6. I think they make it 5 out of 7. I think it's the Astros. I'd love to see the Orioles make a deep run and go to the World Series, partially for the value of that Adley Rutschman card that I've got. But I'm going to use my brain, and I'm going to say the Houston Astros go back to the World Series. Again, I know we don't want to see it, but that's my thought.
Right.
National League. Yeah. Braves. It's when something's too easy, I feel like, again, it's not the best choice. Like if something's too easy to pick, it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
I think we just see a rematch of 2021. I genuinely do. I think that's just the way it's going to go.
So
Braves are too good to lose.
Murph is going with the Astros to win the American League and advance to the World Series, and the Braves to win the National League and advance to the World Series. My picks, and mine are a little bit different here because I have the Jays versus the Orioles, and I'm sitting here thinking in my head like this could be the Rays. The Rays could be in this position, Rays versus Jays here, and not Orioles versus Jays. But for mine in this one, with the Orioles having the opportunity to face the Toronto Blue Jays, I'm going to go with the Orioles to advance to the World Series, winning the American League. I will pick the Orioles over the Blue Jays, and I want to go on record saying I still believe this could be Tampa-Toronto. But if it's Baltimore over the Blue Jays to win the American League and advance to the World Series. As far as the National League goes, I have Braves and Dodgers, so some people might consider that boring, but I consider them the 2 best teams in the National League. So, with that being, and obviously they finished as such, and I agree that the Braves are 1 and the Dodgers are 2. So, Dodgers, Braves, I feel like the Dodgers will make it interesting, but the Braves got too much. I'm going with the Braves to advance to face off against the Orioles, where we're going to be looking at that David and Goliath. Everybody thought the Braves. Who thought the Orioles? The 2 number 1 seeds. Some people would say I went chalk, but the Orioles, I don't think are given the credit of being a number 1 seed, and I don't think everybody's going to pick them. But I got
You
Braves.
can't go wrong though. That's going to be a common World Series pick. You can't go wrong with that.
All right, I'm going to go Orioles Braves. You're going to go Astros Braves. Who's winning it all?
This is how I'm going to say this. Same teams, different year, same result. Braves in 6.
Murph going with the Braves to win.
They're too good. They are too good to fail.
Yeah.
It's when you have a team that is this good all year long, so far and away the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if they don't. It was like the 2020 Dodgers. That team we knew was going to win the World Series. And I'm glad we actually got the 2 best teams in the World Series at the time. It was the Dodgers and the Rays that year. But, when you have a team like this, you're far and away the best team in baseball. You're too good to lose. There's, if it was the Orioles in here, I think it could have been more of a series. I mean, granted, I am saying it's 6. I am saying it's going to be a 6-game series, not 5, not 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's impossible for the Braves to sweep their way to the World Series, all the way. Sweep the the Phillies, sweep the Brewers, and then get to the World Series. The Astros did it last year.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Yeah.
But it's for me, the Braves are too good. And as a Mets fan, it kills me to make that pick, but they're too good. They're too good to lose.
Yeah. I mean, I made this entire bracket staring at the Braves logo. And like I said, as much as I would like the Orioles and the Diamondbacks to make this a World Series that I would love to watch more than most in recent history.
I think you would go to it.
Oh,
I think you'd go to Arizona for Game 3.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance that I might be traveling to see my Diamondbacks. And
I mean, they haven't won the World Series in
2001, baby.
2001.
2001, fastest team to get there, fastest team to win, 4 years.
Correct.
So, and Luis Gonzalez, maybe this is a little good thing here, celebrating with my Diamondbacks. So, but and Luis, the one who knocked in the winning run. Thank you, Luis, for that. But number 28, remember you forever. And I think I got to get a Luis Gonzalez jersey. I don't know why I don't have one. And a Randy Johnson. That's birthday ideas, Murph. Write it down. And so, cards. I want to know what Murph's getting me for my birthday. Autographed memorabilia, cards, something of that sort. Let's make it fun. But break open the piggy bank. So this is yeah, but like I said, I would love to see Orioles Diamondbacks. If the okay, I'm gonna put it to you like this. There's a chance I might see the Diamondbacks in the wild card. There's a chance. If they advance like I think that they will in the NLDS, then my butt needs to go. If they get farther than that, I might just be camping out wherever they are. And that's just my reality. If it's Baltimore Orioles, Arizona Diamondbacks, it will be my birthday gift that the Major League Baseball brings to me, and I would love that. I did pick Orioles, Braves. I'm gonna pick the Braves. I feel like they have too much, like Murph said, and like I said at the beginning of all this, I was staring at their logo the whole time. I was like, who's going to beat the Braves? That was in the back of my mind. So I'm going to go Braves. I want it to be Orioles Diamondbacks. I want to go to the World Series, and I want to see this play out like a video game.
I wanted to go to the World Series last year. Look how that turned out.
I know, Murph. I know, Murph.
I did get to go to 2 games though, so I'm not overly sad about that.
Right. Yeah, you got to see your team.
I got to watch Jacob deGrom's last start in a Mets uniform, and then I got to watch him lose.
Right. You get
Very
to see
sad.
You get to see your team in the postseason. Now I get to see my team in the postseason. I'll cheer on the Mets.
Would you go to Baltimore or would you go to Arizona?
If they make it to the World Series, I'm going to the whole thing. So, like,
You'd go to every game?
if they okay, I'm going to put it to you right now. I don't even know when the heck this was.
Do you know how much money that's going to cost you?
Whatever. I work for myself.
Dude, that could legitimately cost you $10,000.
Well, then someone needs to give me birthday money. But yeah, no, I would say if the Orioles, if the Diamondbacks make it to the World Series, I will for sure make sure I go to at least one game.
I think you just go to the 3 games in Arizona.
But
at least 2 games in Arizona.
Yeah. I mean,
I think you should. I think if you're gonna go, you got to go see him at home.
Yeah, I mean, this is my reality. Would I like to go to all of them? Absolutely. And I've had a connection to them, obviously, in interviewing and speaking to their communications department. The Rays, I mean, there's a opportunity for me to get down there and do some coverage. But yes, if the Diamondbacks make it to this World Series, if and when that happens, my butt will be there. By the grace of God, somehow, some way. I'm going to pick the Braves at my prediction, but I want the Diamondbacks to do it. And Orioles, I love you. I do. I hope the best for you. I send you my love. If the Diamondbacks face you, I love you less. But I do love you. So I love what you did this season. I'm so happy for you. It means the world to me. From story back, first time I went to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown with my dad, and we both picked out Orioles stuff. We're not Orioles fans. We just really liked the logo, and it was something that like we could get together. And I got this like steel heavy keychain of the Orioles, and I was 7. So 30 years later, 3 decades later, if you guys did this, that little kid in me would be like, hey, there's a reason why, you know what I mean? Like there was something connecting me to the Orioles way back when. And so I've always had a soft spot for the Orioles. I don't think that people treat them like the big brother. They're always like little brother. Big Cal Ripken Jr. fan. So if the Orioles do it this year, I'll be super proud. I have you guys get into the World Series. I would love to see you win it. Unless you play my Diamondbacks, then I'd love to see you be second. And yeah, Braves, if you make me right in my prediction, great. If the Diamondbacks make me right in my heart, better. That's how I look at it. So we went well over. I know you guys are waiting for the presidential perspective with Alfred University President Mark Zupan, so we're going to get that going in a second, but I am a man of my word. So Murph, quick on your Jets, and I'll throw some on my Jaguars.
Okay, last week I was on here willing to defend Zach Wilson, that it was not all on him.
Yes.
And you guys all know I do not like Zach Wilson. I never have. However, he is the reason they knew. I know you're going to say, oh, he fumbled the snap and they never got the ball back. Okay. Because that could happen to anybody. It's not like he made a poor decision. That could legitimately happen to anybody. I know he owned up to it. Like, he has grown on me as a player this year. His accountability, his leadership, he matured during the offseason, and Aaron Rodgers has been a integral part of that. I will say this: if he does not play well next week against the Broncos, Jets fans are going to be calling for his head again.
Oh yeah.
But get Aaron to Denver. It's a quick trip from California. Get him to Denver just to be there. I think the fact that Aaron Rodgers was even in the building helped Zach Wilson remain calm. Yeah. And let's be honest, a lot of those throws he made yesterday looked like Aaron Rodgers. The back shoulder passes, the touchdown pass that he threw to, I think that was Uzama in the back corner of the end zone.
Yeah.
He looked really good yesterday. He made some poor throws, but anybody's going to make poor throws. But he looked outstanding yesterday. He alone is the reason why they were in that game. When they went down 17-0, he took command of that team, said, hey, this game's not over yet. And he drove them down the field. They scored a touchdown after the safety. They scored after the safety. No, they kicked the field goal after the safety. They drive down the field, score a touchdown. Coming out of halftime, drive down the field, score a touchdown. This team, with that version of Zach Wilson at quarterback, will win a lot of football games. I can promise you that. Yeah. If that Zach Wilson comes to Denver, the Jets are going to blow out the Denver Broncos. Absolutely blow them out. Maybe not Miami blow them out, but they'll blow out the Broncos. And they give the Eagles a game. If old Zach Wilson shows up to Denver, he won't make the start against the Eagles. But the fact that they let him out and let him do his thing, that's what they needed. That's what we've been waiting for all along. Let him run the ball. Let him use his feet. Get the ball out quick. Run the West Coast system that they're supposed to. The fact that he was able to do that on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs in a game where everyone expected the Jets to get killed, I like where our team's at right now. I know we're 1-3. 2-4 at the break's not going to be the worst thing.
Yeah.
Not at all. That version of Zach Wilson that we saw last night could take this team to the playoffs. I can promise you that. But it depends on what version of him we see next week. If we see this version of Zach Wilson, I'm going to be pumped. I'm thinking I might still, and I know we didn't talk about it yet. I sent DT a text last night when it was 20-20. Yeah. I told him if the Jets win this game, I'm wearing my Zach Wilson jersey on this show and for the game next week.
Yeah.
I might still wear it for the game next week. I really might. But it's going to be a quick hook if he doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, listen. This team, with their defense, can face off against anybody. And if you have a serviceable quarterback, you got a shot. Because they will hold teams to low points. Now, Jaguars defense held Kansas City under 20.
Yeah.
And lost because of bad offensive play calling and lack of execution in the red zone and on third down. But the defense was there. 17-9 in that loss. This game, same thing. Jets defense showed up. The offense, listen, you got a drop ball in the front of the end zone that was on your receiver. Then you have a drop ball on their right side of the end zone by Garrett Wilson.
It was a little bit out of his reach.
Too far. Yeah.
It wasn't. It was a good throw. It just wasn't a perfect throw.
It was off his fingertips.
Real quick, let me pop right back in real quick because I know we got to get out of here. But the 2 penalty calls or lack thereof at the end of the game, the holding call was ridiculous. That's not a holding. He didn't grab his jersey or anything. That should have been they let the play happen. And the flag came in ridiculously late. Like, come on. And then the non-call on the left tackle that was holding Jermaine Johnson. He was holding him for like 8 seconds, and they didn't call it. Literally, his hands are like out here as he's getting held, waiting for a flag, and they never threw one. That was on the 3rd and 20 where Mahomes ran for the first down. And then they threw in a defensive holding. So realistically, that play should have come back. And then it would have been 3rd and 20 again because they would have been nullifying penalties. That the referees, I'm not going to say the Jets would have won the game because anything could happen.
Yeah.
But the referees definitely took that game away from the Jets. There were multiple opportunities for the referees to just play a normal football game. Call holding on that play. Let the hands play from Sauce go on the interception. The interception, that game's still 20-20. Jets get the ball at midfield with, I think, 4 minutes left. They could have very easily gone down and at worst kicked a field goal or at best scored a touchdown and put a lot of pressure on Mahomes.
Yeah.
Now it's Mahomes. He could have easily drove down the field and scored again and maybe forced overtime or whatever. But those 2 calls, the holding call and the non-holding call on the left tackle, are what cost the Jets the game. Period.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you get back to that.
No. I mean, listen. Looking at the holding penalty on Sauce, it was a stupid thing, and it looks like a normal football play that would happen a billion times. But it was called. And like you said, when a flag comes in late, I've been at Syracuse games where the play happens and they wait, and the ref just throws the flag out, and you're going, who paid you today? Who paid you to make sure that this happened? And there were calls,
the NFL clearly because they wanted the Chiefs to win with Taylor Swift in the crowd.
Well, and now that they got the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce,
that was oh my god.
And
anytime they showed her, I just wanted to just go.
But the thing
anytime
is,
they showed her,
now that they're like entertainment, pop culture, NFL, is their relationship real? I don't think so. I think they could just
I think it could be.
They could be really good friends. They could be like bro and sis. I don't know. But the thing is this seems, I don't know, it feels staged, and that to me, I mean, listen, if y'all love each other, that's great. And I hope the best for you. If the dating is real, that's great, and I hope the best for you. If this is just like the NFL wants to make a little bit more money and wants to take some people from certain channels at certain times, well, then I think it's stupid and ridiculous, and I don't like it. So, listen, I like Taylor Swift. I like Travis Kelce. Whatever. Have fun. But the Jets in this game proved down the stretch that they were a lot better of a team. The fingertip ball to Garrett Wilson was a little bit farther than it needed to be.
It was just barely overthrown.
I don't put that on Garrett. The one in the front of the end zone, yes, that's
that
on
should
your
have been
receiver.
caught.
You got hit in the hands. Conklin dropped it, and that's when you
even the C.J. Mosley dropped interception.
And the C.J. Mosley dropped
interception. It's in your hands.
Which was another one. Which Syracuse had one of those against Clemson, where it hit Marlowe Wax and his hands ricocheted and bounced off of him. So, yes, I don't put those on Zach Wilson at all. I think that should have been a touchdown, so that could have been a victory. C.J. Mosley interception could have led to the victory. The Garrett Wilson thing was a little bit off on Zach Wilson's side. I think what should happen with the Jets is if you want the Jets to be in these games and almost win them or win them, what they have to do that they should have realized in week 1 is that they have to play on prime time. Because when they played the Bills on prime time, they were great. And when they played the Chiefs on prime time, they were great. And the Chiefs and Bills could make it far in the postseason this year for the AFC, if not farther. So just to make a little bit of a note on that. But yeah, I mean, I think the Jets played a hell of a game. I think the Jets defense and the Jaguars defense have exposed things about the Chiefs. And I think if their offenses were a little bit better and did a little bit more, they both would have won those games. So I definitely give credit to the Jets defense, arguably the best defense in the country. I give credit to Zach Wilson for the work that he put in. I hope Aaron Rodgers, like you said, goes and travels, because I think Zach seeing his support would mean a lot to him. I think Zach hears the world. He knows how everybody feels about him. He knows how Joe Namath feels about him. He knows if he does anything good, people are shocked. And if he does anything bad, people think it's normal life. And so it's kind of him and his people believing in him. And outside of that, it feels like a lonely world. So, Zach, what I would tell you in that respect is been there, done that. And my best advice to you is to love every second of it. Keep the chip firmly planted on your shoulder and play the way that you know how to play. Love up on your team and do everything you can. And at the end of the game, when all those guys went over to Zach Wilson, his teammates, and he was sitting there kneeling on the ground and they were talking to him, and you could almost imagine what was being said at that point.
Did you see what he mouthed to Thomas Morstead?
What did he say?
He literally said, "It's my fault. I lost the game." And then Thomas Morstead was telling him, no, that wasn't on you. And then that's when everyone else came over.
Yeah, and
so they had that. He mouthed that. I'm not much of a lip reader, but you can clearly make out that's exactly what he said.
And but to see that,
but that shows a sense of maturity that he did not have last year.
No, and
he did not have that last year. And I respect the hell out of him for that.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think this could be the first step to seeing the upside of Zach Wilson. Let him loose. Let him do his thing. If you flank AVT out to right tackle, Mekhi Becton at left tackle, who knew? All you needed was Dwayne Brown to be hurt for the offensive line to be the best it can be. I know we got to get out of here, so let's Jags.
Yeah.
Big win for them.
Yes, and I mean to make one final note, I do want to make one final note about the Jets. To see the guys come over and talk to Zach Wilson and just be there for him, it says a lot about this team. It says a lot about the fire of this team. And I may not know much in life, but I could tell you something without doubt. When a bunch of people come together and believe in each other, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, what the rest of the world thinks, what any other team does. The way that they came and got around Zach Wilson, they're going to win some games this year. They're going to make you remember them this season, and the Jets are not going to go quietly into the night. On the side of the Jaguars, much needed victory. Get back to 500, 2-2. Nobody's played more games in London in the NFL than the Jaguars. 10 games. They're 5-5. They look to go above 500 when they face the Bills this coming week. I'm hoping that the Bills got a lot of their point scoring out of their system before this game.
Like the Dolphins did?
Like the Dolphins did. But the Jaguars defense played well. All three phases played well, and all three phases scored. Darius Williams did some good things last year at corner for the Jaguars. I'm happy to see him get a 61-yard return. Calvin Ridley returning to the end zone, scored the first touchdown for the team in week 1 and scored the first touchdown of this game. Jacksonville looked poised the whole time, looked like they knew exactly what they were doing, and they were able to take a very, very high-scoringly capable offense of the Atlanta Falcons and held them down to just 7 points. I credit all three phases for coming together in this victory, which you'll see in my story that I wrote on wakeupcalldt.com. I'm proud of this team. They look more like themselves. Now it's about building consistency. It's about doing it against Buffalo. You need to show who you are in the AFC, and you got a shot this week to do exactly that. I love that Wembley Stadium's rocking. I love Disney Plus's Toy Story version of the
That was
game
cool.
in real time. I watched it that way because I refuse to buy any more streaming services. So, like my buddy Ross and I talked about, by the way, happy birthday to Ross Turetsky, October 1st. We are now the same age for 3 weeks. So, definitely, and he's a Jets fan, but definitely happy to see that. Loved watching it that way. Think they should bring Toy Story back and show it again that way for the Buffalo game. Had a lot of fun with it. And, you know, I said we would do cards here. I forgot that I had this box. I'm going to do this rapidly here. But my 2022 Absolute Football was sitting in my kitchen. I forgot that I opened it. I forgot anything I got in it. But I have a stargazing Josh Allen that I'm very happy to have. I have a draft Diamonds DK Metcalf. I have two awesome, and I think people go for these at some trade shows. I have two rookies of Christian Watson, one of them being an insert that is called Introductions. I have a by Storm Sky Moore, which I also have the Travis Etienne. I have James Cook, have his rookie card, covered him in college, with his teammate Nakobe Dean from Georgia, who I also have. Hassan Haskins. I have Bailey Zappi's rookie card. And I'm happy to have these two Jags. Actually, I have three Jags in here. Let me make sure that I can. So I was trying to get guys in their Jag jerseys, and I was able to do that in this one with this box. So I have my guy Chad Muma and Christian Kirk, who were just on the most recent edition of On the Prowl. So I've interviewed both of these gentlemen last season and this season. They were both on the show. These are, I think this might be my first or second card of Christian Kirk with a Jags jersey on. It's my first Chad Muma. And I have a rookie Trayvon Walker here of the Jaguars. And anytime I get a Jaguars card in a box, I'm happy. So shout out to GG Cards and Breaks. Get your blaster boxes, your mega boxes, all types of boxes, as well as inserts, slabs, and packs at GG Cards and Breaks. Open 7 days a week on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, off of Teal Ave, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5 on Sunday. Murph, you got something to show us?
So real quick, just a couple things. My order, I had a PSA order at PSA for almost 3 months, and it finally came back. I sent 4 Shohei Ohtanis in this order. I went 4 for 4, 4 10s.
410, so nice.
So that's huge.
Love that.
This card right here, this 83 Topps Ohtani, that would have been a $550 card if I had gotten it back 2 months ago. It's now about a $400 card, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. That bundle of Ohtanis I bought, the 2018 Bowmans I got.
Yeah.
I sent them to SGC, came back. Here's one of my 10s. I got 8 for 11 on 10s on those cards.
Nice.
This was another one that was in that order that I thought was pretty cool. This is the Mike Trout. This is just 2011 Bowman Mike Trout. It's a PSA 7, so not exactly a big card, but I love Mike Trout. I've had this card before. It's cool to get it graded. I picked this up yesterday in a trade. I traded this, not this exact card, but it's this card away, and I got one back. The 2017 Donruss rated rookie Patrick Mahomes in a PSA 9. Traded out about $300 worth of value, but that was all my sticker price. So yeah, I'm really only into this for like $260. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then they're just now. I was expecting this to get an 8.
Yeah, but
it got a 9-10, and I was pumped when I saw that grade. So that's numbered out of 25. And this one you recognize. Again, I was probably expecting about an 8.5, but it graded a 9. Here's the Lamar. Don't worry, it's in good hands. But Lamar graded a 9, and I was pumped about that.
Yeah, that was the Lamar that I traded away to Mr. Murph, and a mega deal that we had that was a lot of fun to do. I want to let everybody know that sitting right off of my screen here are Diamondbacks galore. And as we get ready for the playoffs this week, I just want
Where's Corbin?
I want to shout out here. So this is a Bowman Pat Corbin signature on card of Mr. Corbin, who came from Central New York, CNS, and then went on to the Diamondbacks. I have a bunch of Randy Johnson cards here as well. I have Anthony Banda. I have Marte. I have another Pat Corbin here for the Diamondbacks. I have a really nice insert here, a Roy's favorite of Anthony Banda, refractor. I have...
Where's the Corbin Carroll?
The Corbin Carrolls are actually... They're in safekeeping. They're in a very hidden part. So, no, they'll come out as well. But no, they're in a special place where they're by me all the time. Randy Johnson, and then here's the first Corbin Carroll rookie that I ever got. And I got this at GG Cards and Breaks, and I got it out of there. There's a little bit of a ding on the bottom right corner, so it was a couple bucks, but it's his rookie card that I got here from Bowman. So I do have my Corbin Carroll sitting in the room with me, and these are right off camera. So shout out to my Diamondbacks that are
only other thing I got. I opened the box yesterday just because this is cool. This is a number to 12 Frank Gore Prism Draft Picks auto in his Miami uniform. This cool card. I forgot I had it sitting on the desk here, so I figured I'd show that off before we got out of here.
Yeah, so GG Cards and Breaks 7 days a week. Go and see them on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Appreciate y'all as always. Murph, I cannot thank you enough for the bonus time, and we're going to be getting into my conversation with the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, in his travels, and very excited to connect that back to baseball and to the Diamondbacks coming up right after this. Murph, as always, thank you so much, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Take care. They give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. welcome here to a very special edition of Presidential Perspective here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Alfred University Saxons. We are here bi-monthly with the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, who is connected with some very interesting things happening in the sports world as of today. So the shirt is fitting this, and we'll discuss that and so much more here on the broadcast as we connect once again with the leader of the Saxons. Mark, how you doing today?
Doing great. Had a wonderful weekend out in Arizona with my oldest son, Will. So I watched the D-backs clinch their first MLB playoff berth since I think 2017. They didn't do it by winning, but they had a strong opponent and other teams lost, but it was still a very joyous occasion. And we lived there for 7 years in the desert and 2001 against the Yankees. So we attended one of those games courtesy of some friends and fond memories.
Yeah, and you just said that you were able to go out there when they won you were out there when they won the World Series, were able to get to the game and get to see one of the games within that series. What was that experience like? You know, for me being a Diamondbacks fan since day zero, I have to live through you on this one.
We fell in love with them when we lived out there, and it was right after 9/11. The fear of the opening game in Yankee Stadium, George Bush, the then president, threw out the first ball, but it provided a means for the nation to come together. People to see the D-backs instead win in a seventh and decisive game. We saw one of their wins at home, and it was just great to share that special moment with family. It's some miraculous plays. Both teams played well, but for an upstart, I always root for the underdogs, and for an upstart like the D-backs to pull it off it'll always remain a special memory.
And you said, you know, with your son living out there in Arizona and you having spent many years out there, what are your fondest memories of the state of Arizona?
He actually now lives in San Francisco, but he flew in. We connected on Friday for the Friday night game, and it's a very entrepreneurial culture. There's some challenges. The first time you go there and you see a sign across the river saying "We lead to a river," and then you look down and there's no water. This past summer, I think they had 31 straight days of 110 degrees temperature, so have to deal with some climate issues. But the Hughes, the terrific Mexican food, on Saturday we visited our favorite Mexican restaurant in South Tucson, Minadito, called it's Spanish for My Nest. It's been in existence for 77 years. President Clinton, when he was president, visited, and we still have a star above where he sat in the restaurant. And the 3 entrees that he devoured that day, he has quite a hearty appetite, but we had some great Mexican food while there. And the next day we were able to go to the Wildcats game. My youngest son, when I was dean of the business school at the University of Arizona, became a huge Wildcats fan. In 1997, the year I joined, Lute Olson and his basketball team won the national championship. It had a funny story. They were the underdogs. I think they beat 3 number 1 seeds in getting to that championship. We had made plans several weeks before, thinking there's no way they'll make it to the finals, with some donors at this prominent restaurant to solicit a gift. And then the Cats kept winning, and we still didn't think, and they were called the Cardiac Cats that year, that they would make it to the finals. But lo and behold, they made it to the finals. And we called the donor, an alum, saying, you know, you probably want to reschedule this because we're in the finals. Turned out he hated basketball. And so we still went on with the dinner as planned. We were the only ones in the restaurant. And the only way we knew the Cats had won that night was to see by the sounds that the kitchen staff were making in the kitchen, and then the fireworks going off down in the central part of Tucson. We were up in the foothills. So that was a wonderful memory. My oldest son learned how to shoot free throws from Lute Olson, a legendary basketball coach there. Later on, he was able to connect with him. So we have a before and after picture with 30 years or the 25 years in between those 2 episodes. But every place has its own unique features, and we loved our time in the desert. A growing place. When you go to Phoenix, it's amazing the number of cranes. We saw the new TSMC facility, the chip fab in Chandler, Arizona. It's like a crane city. Out there, Intel's expanding. They have major chip production facilities. We were able to meet with some alums on Friday. So it's just a trip down memory lane, and wore my Alfred University colors to the Arizona basketball game at night on Saturday, and they were playing Washington, 7th ranked team, of course, colors purple and gold. So I was a little bit worried going into the Arizona Stadium wearing purple with gold, butts and red to also root for the University of Arizona, and have a photo on social media about wearing both colors, both that going from Alfred University to memories of U of A, flipping the letters in the two schools.
Yeah, no, it's funny how things are very poetic in that respect. And you made mention of the fact of the opportunity to have that dinner, and obviously you're sitting here thinking, okay, they've advanced to the championship. Obviously, the people here want to see it, and then you find out that this potential donor's like, no, I don't care at all. And then if I were you, I would have flipped back around and said, well, you know what? We rented out this restaurant all for you.
Yeah, I wish I would have had the wisdom and ability to be quick-witted on my feet, but that would have been a much better answer. So,
well, I will tell you this: as different things happen in the sports world, connect with me beforehand, and I'll help you kind of PR move these things. And
I will take you up on that kind offer. So not everybody's as big into sports as you and I are.
Yeah, no, and like you said, I mean, this time around when you went out to spend some time in Arizona, you made the most of it outside of the Diamondbacks game as well. I know there was a picture on social media of meeting with some alumni and connecting with this Alfred community. I mean, it truly goes coast to coast and even beyond that. Just what that means to you, that when you go out on a trip and you're going to a Diamondbacks game, and no matter where you are, you have this opportunity to reach out to alumni, do something fun while you're there. It seems like every time you're traveling somewhere, you're reaching out to people, letting them know that you still appreciate them in connection with Alfred University, while you're also kind of living a big kid life and going to games like the Diamondbacks game.
Yeah, it's a great joy. We have close to 100 alums in the greater Phoenix area in the Valley of the Sun. Was able to connect with several of them, as you mentioned. One's a 2007 alumna, very talented individual. She's already started her own company, received a PhD from ASU in molecular science as an adjunct there, has several patents already on disposing of hazardous waste with using her knowledge of material science and ceramic engineering. And then a couple who have been retired out there for at least 17 years. She's a nursing grad of ours, and he's a ceramic engineering grad, married 66 years, just completely in love by the way they communicate with each other, hold hands. They give me a ride back to the airport so I could connect with my son. Very kind of them. And they both went off to the Peace Corps after he got a big retirement package at the age of 50 for IBM. So just committed to giving back, and they travel the world now with kids and grandkids, but love the U of A, come back for a lot of the reunions, still exercise. I hope I'm as active as they are. When I hit 88, they walk every day. They're part of our Saxon racers that come in on bicycles to reunion pretty much every year as of late. So great joy in that, you find out what people have done with their lives with that Alfred University degree, how they've given back to their communities, how they've grown as individuals. And when you have those meetings, it also opens up doors for current students, like this alumna lives in Chandler, teaches in Tempe at ASU. She needs interns for her company and also wants to come back to speak with our current engineering students and also our current members of the women's soccer team. She played soccer for us. So it's that connecting that's the fun, one of the fun parts of my job.
Yeah, and like you said, these connections that you have all throughout the country, and that you can go across the country and find these Alfred University alumni and be able to just learn about their life, where they are, what they've done, and how they've grown. For you, how rewarding is it to jump on the trail, so to speak, and to reach out? I mean, because some schools, you go in, they kind of care about you a very surface level until you graduate, and then once you're done, they're on to the next group, and they could care less because you're not physically there with them at that time. You're the opposite. You are reaching out to people that have graduated 20 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever it may be, Why is that so important to you to continue to re-engage the Saxons even after they're done?
Great question, Dan. By and large, the alums want to pay it forward and make the world better, not just directly, but for the next generation to follow. There's this wonderful giver's gain that comes from that. And but when you can make that connection, it makes their wishes that much easier to bring into reality. I love to travel, and so that adds to the allure of going out there. And then it's just fascinating the twists and turns people's lives have taken, some challenges, the adversity they've had to overcome. And that's instructive for the next generation too, because nobody's life will be without challenges. And so if you can provide that inspiration of how they've overcome the challenges, it makes it easier for the next generation to say, look, if they can do that, I can do that with whether it's an assignment I currently have for a business class or a physics class, or some relationship difficulty that I'm having with a roommate or a teammate on an athletic team or other co-curricular activity. And one funny story, we had an alum class of 48, lived in the south of France. So he applied to the Ivies, didn't get in. And we found out this was after he made his bequest that he didn't get in because he had a Jewish surname. And at the time, Ivies had quotas on Jewish students. And he ended up having a successful career in insurance, married a French woman, retired to the French Riviera. And we heard from one of our staff that he was interested in making a bequest for a professorship and endowing a deanship. So somebody had to take one for the team and go to the south of France to meet with this alum and also get a Southern France alumni club started. So got a chance to meet with him, spend some time with him, and unfortunately passed away. But the legacy, he's ended up establishing both a professorship and a deanship. And over the summer, we met with a niece of his who lives in New York City. And she said, I suspect the reason he gave so much, not only loved the experience, but Alfred University didn't have quotas. They were more inclusive. And so that's the value, that's the principle that he wanted to propagate through his gift at Alfred University. And so just, it was a very touching way to see how the value of inclusivity and how it can bring us together and make the world a better place.
Well, I mean, it comes down to something you and I talk about all the time, how you treat somebody the first time, every time, it makes a difference. You could have a great first impression, but maybe the second impression is poor, or, consistency is not there. Somebody feels wanted in, 2023, but in 2025, they come to campus and they don't feel that, anybody kind of paid attention. So I think it's not only that first impression that everybody talks about, but it's about consistency, a consistency of message, consistency of care, consistency in your case of just having the knowledge and the wisdom of what's going on with people. I mean, when you know someone's coming to campus, you are able to, and I would even venture to say when you don't even know they're coming to campus, you become an encyclopedia of Saxons where you know what they're doing on campus right now, the people that have been there, and that speaks to your intelligence, it speaks to your mind, it speaks to what you fill your mind with, and it speaks to your heart, because without your heart and mind working together, Mark, there's no way that you are so quickly able to retain and deliver this information. And I know that that's one of the biggest things I took away from you the day I met you face to face, is your ability to speak on so many different people on any subject. You didn't know what we were going to talk about that day. And we talk, I'm talking about Marvel, and you start to speak on Peter Cuneo, and then we go to something else, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, if we're talking equestrian, then this is what this person did, and this is what they did with baseball, and this is somebody that, is working in ceramics. So I have to credit you with that not only do you make the effort to go and visit alumni, but your ability and your care and want to know really differentiates you from a lot of people.
Well, it's a broader thing. It's the values of Alfred, and the more we can live it, it's one of our 3 principles of everybody mattering, and we fall down in that too. We're no exception, and you got to learn. My first year at Alfred, and we'll be visiting this alum in a few weeks in Minneapolis, St. Paul, mathematics grad. First year on the job, sends me an email to say, look, I need to talk to you. My wife graduated from a small school in Minnesota. Every year we send both schools $5,000 every year I get a thank you note from we get a thank you note from their student, but yours has been more sporadic. And so we had to fess up and say, look, we're very sorry for that mistake. We'll do it right going forward. And so we assigned a staff member to make sure we were doing the stewardship right. I had a mentor a long time ago say, getting the gift is like an iceberg. It's 5% of the battle. It's the one above the surface. 95% is stewarding. And there's an old quote from Ben Franklin that if you want to find somebody to give you money, ask the person who's given it to you before. But the critical link is you've got to be stewarding that gift before. So we started thanking the person appropriately and his wife. In 2019, they made a $2.1 million commitment to a professorship in mathematics, substantially up their giving to the mathematics department. He became a major exec at Texas Instruments. And also their professorship is a bequest that they've started to bring it to life early. They have the means to do it. And just so instilling in all of us that even when we mess up, how do we do right by the people, and how, when somebody benefits, whether it's a scholarship or a professor, saying thank you, that this gift has mattered. That'll inspire future philanthropy.
Absolutely. And a final note here to come full circle, being out in Arizona, you spoke about being a part of the World Series run for Arizona, quickest team to get to the World Series, quickest team to win in 4 years, and you got to experience that. Getting to see them now go back to the postseason for the first time in 6 years and be on site to live within how this team is performing right now over 2 decades later. What's that done for you as bookends?
Memory lane, and just it's a young team. So to see again an underdog, they were, I think, 2 games under 500 for a while this summer, and then they've been on a run as of late. And when the Wildcats Arizona won the NCAA championship, they had a rough season, but putting it together at the right time. Injuries can also play a role, that you can be on top of the world and then all of a sudden you have that challenge emerge. So hope springs eternal, and definitely rooting for the D-backs, the Wildcats, for the football season. And then most of all these days for the Saxons across all our different sports. Our women's tennis team remains off to one of its best starts ever. We had a great win at Catholic University in football. We'll be back in action this coming week for homecoming on Saturday, so looking forward to that. And our equestrian team had a high points performance over the past weekend. So a broad range of activities, and it's fun to have this banquet of opportunities for our students and our broader community.
That coming from the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, who has more frequent flyer miles than probably your entire family combined. So
my oldest son is rapidly catching up. There's a lot of travel for Cisco.
That's good. But as always, Mark, I appreciate your time, appreciate everything that you share with the Saxons and your love and appreciation for the entire community of Saxons. And who knows, Mark might be out in your neighborhood next to come and see you and pay you a visit. And I love the fact that somehow, some way, you continue to show me how small this world is, as you're at a D-backs game and I'm seeing it on my timeline going, 2 things. Number 1, that's incredible of all the teams you could go see because it's my favorite. And number 2, where's my ticket, Mark?
Yeah, we'll have to figure out a way to get a group together, because they still have that swimming pool in the outfield, and maybe celebrate their next World Series win in our swimsuits.
Absolutely. It'll be a good time. So as always, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, Presidential Perspective, with the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan. Mark, safe travels, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Dan, best for the new week.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your premier sports card shop. Make sure you head over there 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Sundays from 10 to 5 for singles as well as packs, boxes, slabs that they have graded for you and ready to go of all different sports, from soccer to hockey, baseball, basketball, football, as well as Pokemon and the new Disney Lorcana. You can head out to GG Cards and Breaks today, and you never know what you're going to find. Their products change all throughout the week, sometimes daily, getting in different things. So you definitely want to make your way over to GG Cards and Breaks and see the difference and get to experience the difference of their fantastic customer service, awesome products, and wonderful connection to the same hobby while you make new memories at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway. PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We want to thank you for watching and listening every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And of course, you could search us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, and more. All you have to do is look up Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big time thanks to our incredible partners, Carvel DeWitt, where you can get the DT Dolphin, my own spin on the Sunday experience, and you can get it with a dedication to the Lemoyne Dolphins right now and 7 days a week down the road from Lemoyne College. The DT Dolphin mint chocolate chip ice cream, obviously green for the Dolphins, topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, and a cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay. And when Chick-fil-A Cicero closed this month due to their refurbishment and going beyond, exceeding your expectations once again. So make sure you head out to Chick-fil-A Clay and continue to support them both under the same leadership of Jim Rusakowski. Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Great Lakes, Honda City, 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant. Go and get their smash burger and all of the amazing things that they have to offer to you Tuesday through Saturday. They are closed on Sunday and Monday. Avicoli's, as well as Canine Camp Dog Daycare. PB&J's Lunchbox with eclectic favorites. They take everything that we know and they tweak it just a little bit where the flavor is truly theirs with their stamp on it on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, where I have my own sandwich 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. You could go to 3709 James Street in Syracuse, Two Mothers Cupboard, and have the Cuse McMother. The Cuse McMother is there for you. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich, or cut it up and put some syrup on it and eat it that way. Have yourselves a fantastic time at Mother's Cupboard with my sandwich, the Cuse McMother. And I want to shout out Pizza Man as well as being the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with AD and DT coming to you every first and third Wednesday, of each month during Dolphin Time Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We have the Dolphin Dive, AD and DT, first and third Wednesday, the second and fourth. We have the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. We underpromise and overdeliver, so you're going to be getting some Dolphin Dives today before we get into our typical Wednesday Dolphin time. You can find all of it by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse come to you every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats with men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball, and esports all throughout the year, telling the stories of student athletes, coaches, and administration. The Bobcat Buzz there for you on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and get all of our Bobcat content. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcat Nation. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Saxons during Saxon Time, Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Monday, The Presidential Perspective, featuring President of Alfred University, Mark Zupan. And every second and fourth Monday with the Saxon Spotlight on student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. You can get all of our Saxon content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. We have an Alfred University playlist on that YouTube channel at Wake Up Call DT. And of course, for more information, go to gosaxons.com. And as the website tells you, go Saxons. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank Murph, as always, for starting off the week with me, giving you our Major League Baseball content now that the playoff field is set for the Major League Baseball postseason, which officially starts this Tuesday, October 3rd. Cannot wait for that. A lot of great stuff coming up. We picked the entire field, showed you our entire brackets, and unveiled who Murph has all the way through to being the World Series champion, as well as who I have. We spoke on the Jets and the Jaguars and gave some love to GG Cards and Breaks and that sports card collecting hobby that we can't help but love so very much. Head out to GG's on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York today. And a big time thank you to Alfred University, as always, for our presidential perspective with Mark Zupan, who is speaking to me in his travels in between flights. That's how dedicated he is, and I truly can't thank him enough for that. Speaking on Alumni Stewardship, after going out to Arizona from New York to meet some of the alumni of Alfred University that are now in their 80s, and just showing how much you definitely see that community feel at Alfred University, and the care, and that once you're a Saxon, you truly are always a Saxon. It's not just lip service, but it's reality. When your president is going across the country to meet with alumni, that says something really, truly incredible, and to spend some time with his son and to support those Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm hoping that it's good energy coming from Mark Zupan for this postseason, because the last time he went and saw them, they won the World Series in 2001, and now that he's seen them again in 2023, they are heading back to the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. So thanks to Mark Zupan, thanks to Brendan Murphy, thank you to you for watching and listening all over Central and Upstate New York, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all over the world. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, YouTube at Wake Up Call DT, and as always, God bless